everybody in attendance. Welcome to Delivering Film Quality Visual Effects on Episodic Timelines. And this is hosted here by Foundry at Spark FX 2021. So today you're going to get the chance to get some firsthand insight on episodic production for all of these shows that we love to binge watch. We're going to get these insights from some incredibly talented people, and we're going to have a chance for Q&A from those in the audience. So just a note on the Q&A portion in the chat box below in Zoom, there is another box, which is Q&A. So please put your questions inside of there, or they might get lost in the chat. We also have a representative from Foundry in the chat, and notice the Foundry logo that will be interactive throughout the session as well. So I am your moderator today. My name is Terry Rysat. I'm the head of creative services for the Americas at Foundry. And we are joined today by these four fine gentlemen. We have projects ranging from WandaVision to Umbrella Academy to The Handmaid's Tale to The Boys, Lovecraft Country, Vikings, and the list goes on and on. Huge list. And let's go ahead and start the introduction. So first up, we have Brandon Belvins. He's compositing supervisor at Rodeo FX. So welcome, Brandon. Next up, we have Eric Dorian, who is head of compositing at Spin VFX. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Yash Gowda. He is head of compositing at Monsters, Aliens, Robots, and Zombies, or Mars. So welcome, Yash.
Good.
And next up, we have Joe Roush, and he is the senior compositor at Take 5 Productions. And, fun fact about Joe, 90% of his body is now made up of Nuke nodes. He's been doing this for a while. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started with some questions. And Brendan, I'm going to ask you first. So we know that throughout the past year, a lot has changed on the way we work, and your workflow and pipeline has changed to support remote collaboration. So maybe if you want to just let us know how Rodeo has been adapting to that situation.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for having me, Terry. Obviously, it was a big change for all of us. I think moving into our new COVID world and the logistics of how to get our team online and remotely connected. So we were actually fortunate enough that we already had a few remote artists, not remote, but we were kind of testing out some work from home situations for either supervisors or people if they were sick. So we were already on a system of using HPRGS and a VPN connection to be able to remote log into our workstations at work.
Nice.
So that was kind of the path that we chose at Rodeo, went down and really kind of testing out how many clients we could have on the VPN, system, and how that was going to work with, supporting that with our bandwidth. So within a week or so, we were up and running with that solution, which was really a pretty awesome turnaround for, our team to get everybody up and running. And then I think the hardest part was just distributing, everybody's, monitors or whatever they needed, Wacom tablets, getting to everybody's house and so forth.
So were you able to support, you have clients wanting to get in there, you have all your artists wanting to get in there. Were you able to support this? Were there darker days than other days, or everything went more or less smooth?
It was a little bit, tricky. I think that, that first week of getting everybody set up and kind of we went slowly in groups of people that were, able to come online and get onto the VPN network. And so slowly starting to test that connection. And we found out it was quite stable. It really depended on, we needed to have, people from working from home with a faster connection, obviously, to be able to, be able to have real-time playback. And there's still some hiccups with that. And then, the connection can lag at times, but for the most part, it's really quite stable, and we also have the ability to kind of, throttle up and down the quality just to get playback, so we can still have the ability to, see things at, full resolution, which is quite amazing.
So very convenient that you guys already had a structure in place leading up to everyone having to work from home. Did it sort of evolve beyond that, or you're okay right out of the gates? So in other words, from March last year up to the end of the year, was there any adjustments made to, especially the pipeline structure and making sure that one department is talking to the next in a nice way?
Yeah, I think it's definitely evolved in the way that we're working with each other, and how that, I think that was for everybody just being remote, and how do we conduct dailies, how do we look at each other's shots, and how do we conduct the meetings, which I think we're all used to, being together in the office, and a lot of those changes. So certainly workflows have adjusted in that regard, and just how do we conduct dailies again and not having lag and being able to see your images smoothly. And I think that's still a bit of a challenge, just getting that real-time playback. And I think even with us, so with RGS, we do have the ability to securely log into the presenter's machine and see that directly, which is helpful for small dailies and so forth.
That's great. I'm glad it's working for you. And Joe, how is the things over at Take 5?
So we had nothing in place. We were like the exact opposite. So Take 5 is a production company. Like it's the company that actually produces a lot of the shows. Like Vikings is probably the show that we're most well known for, but also like Handmaid's Tale. And so I'm part of like the in-house VFX team. And so as part of the in-house team, we don't have like the big infrastructure. Like literally it's just a few people with Nuke and we bang out shots that way. So we had nothing in place at all. And you could sort of see like the virus was spreading. Like we were all talking about it. We're like, what are we going to do? And then it was like this one weekend where it was like 1 week where that 1 week where everything kind of shut down and people were like, oh, this is like a really big thing. And our head of IT, Cam, he within the weekend, he had us set up using a system called Parsec, which I don't know if you've heard of it or not. I think it's actually like meant for gaming. Like I think it's meant for like you can play games with other people, but you can play multiplayer games with other people. And within the weekend, we were all set up and everyone was working from home. It was like we left on the Friday, kind of not sure what was going on. And then Monday morning, he was like calling us on the phone. Oh yeah, go to your computer, hook this up. And then it was like, we were up and running. And I was like, using my system that was at the studio. So
it's incredible. The IT departments are huge heroes.
Unbelievable. I had never even heard of this service before.
Yeah.
And he had us up and running with it. So it was pretty cool. So lots of credit to him, because without that, we would have been kind of screwed. And then right now we're just using, Slack and Teams and the phone a lot to communicate with everybody. So we got like a Slack
phone.
channel.
That's great. That's great news.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's like real-time communication.
Yeah.
So yeah, like sometimes we'll just call people if we need to hash something out. A lot of jokes go back and forth on Slack, and Teams. Sometimes we use Teams, like Microsoft Teams, for kind of group calls. So it's a real mishmash of different things, but it's amazing. I'm amazed with how well that Parsec service was working. So it's really good.
I know Parsec as a unit of speed from Star Wars, but I haven't heard it outside of
yeah,
it.
look up go to like if you look up like Parsec Gaming, but it has a whole bunch of other like non-gaming. It's basically you can just go into another machine like just very easily. That's what the service is. So it's worked out for us amazingly well. Like I was in shock that within the weekend we were up and running like that.
That's great. I mean, this industry really has strived throughout this and found ways and found solutions, which is incredible. How about you, Yash?
So basically, we modified our pipeline and our internal tools to prioritize the security. And we are using tools like Remote Desktop and DGX to remotely log into our server at the studio with the combination of VPN, of course. And obviously, we do not send any files over to the artists and vice versa. And the tool is just a stream monitor from the office to their home computer. To the home computer. 100% safe. So we also switched artist exposure from studio-wide access to just show-specific access. So if artists are working on specific shows, they just get to access only show-specific elements or plates or any details they need.
That makes sense.
And also we do show-specific NDAs, and we have included several TPN-specified guidelines to artists for who are remoting from home, which is so that they know what they're doing, so it's all secure. And in terms of like communication wise, we use Slack. The reason is it lets us basically draw on screen, and we are doing dailies on pretty much for the entire day. And so since everything is digital, it also sort of opens up an idea that we can record the screen and share it with artists so that they can refer whenever it's needed. And so just like working at the office, VFX soups and department soups and coordinators, we just work together and review the shots. If we have any notes, we just our coordinators feed those things into Shotgun, and that is available in Shotgun. And our artists actually love this because since editor is not really running dailies anymore, and we are just running our own dailies, so it opens up an opportunity that if we have to show anything or talk about anything like about surrounding shots or any reference materials, we can always Google and just talk about it, and it's easy for artists to understand. And
it's interesting. So your decisions are being made on the fly, and you can actually act on them at that time, which is
whereas
definitely a different approach.
If we are doing dailies at the studios, then we are sort of handcuffed, and like whoever is running the dailies, they are just running the shot, and we don't have access to really show what we need to, or at least not quickly, so not in very instantly. So that's that's something which we really like. And I think that nothing has changed in terms of like working at the office or remotely working. So I think that the future of working is more leaning towards remote working, I think.
I'm sure a lot of people will be happy with that, for sure. You mentioned something earlier before we started this about color management, because that's actually quite a big thing when you're working remotely. You don't have access to the same hardware. Is there anything you are doing there, Yash, to help that out?
Yeah, so basically one thing, I mean, luckily I just live 5 minutes away from the office. So although like I'm not really allowed, it's just by myself, I just go and do the tech checks, whenever I get some time, once in a while, so that at least somebody's looking at it in real life before we send it to client. So which is, it is not companies asking me to do it. It's just my self-interest that I'm doing it.
No, that's dedication and love for the craft. I like that. I also like that you guys do the screen recordings, almost building up a library of things, which is fantastic. How about you, Eric? How's it going over there?
Yeah, we've had a very similar experience. We're using TERABYTE, which is a PCOIP technology. And yeah, just echo what Brandon said. I was amazed by how quickly our system team were able to get our entire staff, 250 artists, moved to a work from home scenario in an incredible, so fast, just over a period of a week and a half to 2 weeks. It was really impressive. And there was a lot of questions early on about how things were going to work, how are we going to do dailies, how are we going to do quality control. But those were answered pretty quickly, with this technology. And I think the thing that changed the most for us is really just how we communicate and how we collaborate with one another. You can't just walk over to someone's desk anymore. You can't overhear a conversation, across the way and jump in with some information. So communications become a lot more compartmentalized, and there's these small little sessions, one-on-one sessions with artists, or group meetings through GChat or whatever, Google Meet. So that's really the big thing that's changed for us. In terms of our pipeline, we didn't really change all that much in how we work. It's more about how we collaborate and communicate.
That's very interesting, and I love the everyone has different contrasting ways of working, and it really shows the range of how people have adapted, which is quite nice. So let's move on to talking about number of shots. Now, episodic is a completely different beast than film, and it's just two different worlds. So now you're out of the studio, you're working from home, and it goes beyond just from working from home, but generally, and Brendan, I'll ask you this first, is typically how many shots are we working on per episode? And it could be from any project.
I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the size of the project and the award. I think it really varies for the least for me in the last year, we were in the middle of working on Lovecraft Country at Rodeo, and we were roughly about 1,200 shots for that particular project across the whole
Good
scope.
amount of shots.
Yeah, it was one of our largest projects, and of course during work from home and COVID, it was a good challenge. So I think our biggest number of shots on that episode was about 380, and we were just it really depends on the on the episode. So some from 20 to 300.
And how about yourself, Yash? What are you guys, from the episodic, well, we know the turnaround deadlines are much tighter. We have to produce content at a different rate. How many shots do you guys usually?
I think it's the same thing again. It totally depends on the show or the client or timeline or even scope of work. We have worked on a show which had like 2,600 shots to just a few. It really depends.
How about yourself, Joe?
Yeah, so I have no idea how much per show, but or per episode, but I asked at work, like, how many do we do in a year? And they said in 2017 we did around 2,000. 2018 we did 3,445. 2019 we did 2,285, and last year we did 1,100. So it really depends on how many shows we have going on and the scope of the show. And some shows are crazy, and some of these are really short, like cosmetic fixes, and then some of them are like real big kind of big shots for us. So it can really wildly vary on the show.
Yeah, it's definitely, a bit of an open-ended question, because obviously there's a lot of variables that go into that. But I imagine the trend, as we see moving forward, just keeps increasing, which is a good thing. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. It really varies from episode to episode, from show to show. But one trend I've sort of noticed is that often the first episode and the last episode will be really big, and then you might have some smaller episodes in the middle. Everyone wants to lead off with a bang and then finish off with finish off strong. So typically that's if I could identify one sort of pattern, then that would be it. That especially that last episode, everyone wants to finish off strong, and those ones tend to be much bigger than the rest of the seasons usually.
No, that's a great point. You want to draw people in, and then at the end you want to keep them wanting more. So yeah, you throw the kitchen sink at the beginning and the end. That sounds about right. So next topic is about new technology. There's quite a few different technologies, from machine learning to real-time solutions. Just wondering how each studio is adopting, or if they're adopting to those new technologies, and even beyond just that, like maybe it's USD, different color workflows. So Yash, how about you guys?
We are moving to ACES color, and but in terms of episodic work, basically episodic work need to be really faster and more affordable without compromising any quality. So the studios our studios is exclusively focusing on that. So we have to experiment with new technology. That's why a few years ago we made a decision to switch to GPU rendering, and for any 3D rendering needs. So obviously by now, of course, a lot of people are already doing that. So, but we are definitely, we started using it like 3 years ago, pretty much, right? So other than that, we use game engines where it's really needed. And we are also using machine learning very extensively these days. And Mars have invested a lot on machine learning technology. And I definitely think that's, machine learning is definitely the future. Since our pipeline is fairly new, it was very easy for us to embed machine learning tools and, already into the pipe. And, I can't really share much about machine learning tools yet.
Oh, you made me so curious now. But that's definitely some great technologies. And a lot of times, it might be ACES, and sure, there's studios that have been using ACES for a while now, but it is tough just to switch over completely different workflows. And it takes time in studios, especially when you have something that is running smoothly. How about you, Brandon? How any new technologies being introduced?
Yeah, a few things we're working on actively on. I mean, we're kind of the same thing. We revised our OCIO pipeline as well this last year, which has been a big help for us as well. Color workflow. As far as machine learning, yeah, we're actively we've been getting a lot of requests for deep fake kind of situations or solutions. So we've been working on kind of a deep fake pipeline of how do we implement that, and training machine learning of trying to refine and get better solutions. So that's been a lot of fun. We have a few guys really actively working on how the best ways to go about that, right? And sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask a follow-up on there. Do you find that, because there's some misconceptions, and I think people think that, oh my gosh, we're not going to be needed anymore, machines are going to take our jobs. Do you get that vibe from artists?
No, I don't think so yet. I don't think I think we're, maybe it's coming in the future someday. But I think it takes, like right now, even with the deep fake stuff, it really takes a lot of, a lot of input, from us in terms of, what kind of content we're feeding it. For example, we are, really kind of working through some scenarios right now of, okay, like if we have, if you want to recreate, a character smiling, or recreate the lighting scenarios of that, you need to feed it the content with a similar lighting scenario, on the face, or if you want it to smile, you need to input it with material and so forth. So
yeah, and that's a good point. I think there is worry, but I especially in our industry and on compositing side, you need to have an artist still. You need that supervised training to happen. We always need a defined outcome because it's a very specific look that we're getting. You don't want to let the machine sort of figure out and think things on its own on how. What the worry is if we have AI doing the machine learning, so you have robots doing our job, then it becomes a problem. How about you, Joe, over at Take 5? You guys adapted any type of technology or workflows that maybe, should have done a little while ago, doing now, that type of thing?
Yeah, nothing. We're we use vanilla Nuke, for the most part. And so whatever's in Nuke is pretty much what we use. That's the bread and butter of, whatever is in there. Not lately. I mean, over maybe the last few years, we've been using Keen Tools. That's like that's a really nice plugin for facial tracking, especially the deforming faces. So that's something that's really nice that, you can do that in other, 3D tracking software, but it's hard. Like it takes a while to get the really nice deforming faces. And this is so easy. The big thing that I think where it stands out is just really nice. And it's just so easy to use. So, so that's something that we've added that was kind of nice. There was also, I think it was early this year or late last year, some compositor, I'm sorry, I forget his name. He put together like this compositing toolkit or like a survival toolkit or something like that. I think
I recall this. Yes.
Yeah. I forget the name of or the website, but it was like a really nice collection of a lot of gizmos that, including some from Spin, that he packaged up really nicely with nice documentation explaining it all. So that's really nice too. But as far as like cutting edge machine learning or anything like that, no, we haven't dipped our toe into that yet. No, hopefully soon though. Hopefully soon.
And the Keen Tools are a fantastic set of tools, and they work beautifully in Nuke, which is quite nice. And speaking of those spin tools, definitely something you use all the time. Compositing, love that chromatic gizmo. So Eric, pass it off to you.
It's nice to hear that other people are using our tools. That's great. For us, I mean, we put in a lot of work sort of in the back end in USD. And it's really going to change the way that we work and share data at the studio. Things are changing. It's not like a linear workflow like it once was, where things cascade from department to department. USD is going to allow us to collaborate in different ways and to share 3D data. It changes how we package things and how we edit things, and so we've done a lot of work to prepare for that. We haven't deployed it yet on the floor, but that is something that we're definitely working hard in the background to get ready.
Yeah, USD is definitely one of those industry trends that will change the way we work, and at some point, every studio will be using it. So definitely 2 points of view, and the studios that are fully adopted, or the studios that are doing investigation, and the studios that are mid implementation of it. So for sure, at some point, we're going to see that be the norm for every day. So let's talk a bit about some of the projects. Again, can be as specific as you want to be, but is there any recent shots or sequences you're extremely proud of? And this could be because of a technical achievement. It doesn't have to be something so visual, but maybe you can explain why. Yash, let's start with you.
There are a lot of sequences on Marvel WandaVision that we are really proud of, but of course we can't discuss that yet. But so I would say the second season of Umbrella Academy, where we were responsible for Vanya and Harlan's powers. So their powers are like force fields of white, blue, and yellow light, and they were purely done in compositing in just Nuke. And
nice.
The major effect is in last 3 episodes, and we did that using like Nuke 3D space, which allowed us to make sure the wall of light in this effect, it doesn't look flat, and it was very important for us to show real power and thickness and intensity of the effect, even though it was done in 2D. So we did that with pretty old displacement, distortion, and camera shake and flickering. Just to sell the effect, and yeah, it ended up looking good.
Those are 2 great shows. I'll have to go back and watch Umbrella Academy again and keep an eye out for that. I love that it's all done in Nuke. That's pretty awesome. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I have to see. It's hard. It's like picking your favorite child, but
there's always one.
But I mean, since we're talking about Umbrella Academy, I mean, at Spin we did the season 2 opener, which was that 2-minute long shot, and for us, we were really proud of that, just because of the sheer complexity and volume of that. I mean, it was a complete 360-degree blue screen stage, with shipping containers, and we had to do a full digital environment that you could see from any direction. And then we had, there were digital doubles, there were CG buildings in there was, fire and smoke and muzzle flashes and blood spatter. And we had all of our heroes, of course, sort of at the height of their powers. Klaus is summoning, an army of dead soldiers, and, Al's heads blowing up, and it was just crazy. And the sheer volume, I think there was almost 3,000 frames in that sequence. It ran for 2 minutes. Wow. As one long shot. And so the complexity of just putting that all together, and the logistics of figuring out how we're going to execute that and how we move from plate to plate, because the photography was filmed over a period of, over a week. And so it wasn't a oneer in the sense that it was one long take traditionally, but we had to combine multiple takes seamlessly to make it appear as though it was filmed in one go.
I recall
extremely complex, but we're very, very proud of the result.
It's a beautiful shot. So I wonder, on a shot like that, did you have one compositor comping the whole shot, or is compositors working on separate sections that you piece together in the end, or how does that work?
Yeah, we had a huge team of people working on that, and we had to divide it up into a whole bunch of little sections, because it's just impossible to work on one shot that's 2 minutes long all at once. So we had to break it up into little bite-sized pieces. We even ingested it that way, so that we weren't really working in one shot. It was almost like 10 or 11 shots, and then in the end we would combine that all in one. But yeah, we just had so many prep artists, because it was all blue screen. You had to key the whole thing. There were tracking markers everywhere. There was lots of paint work and seams to correct and things like that, and then just a huge amount of CG characters and effects integration that we had to do. So we had a large team of people working on that shot.
That's excellent. It is a gorgeous shot. And Brendan, how about you?
Yeah, we had a kind of a little bit of a sort of similar shot like that, where we had on Lovecraft Country, one of our episodes, where we had quite an amazing transformation of a character to do from a mummy into a living, breathing real life actress again. And as the camera was kind of doing a full 360-degree move, there's about 5 different plates that we needed to kind of reconcile into one smooth move. as well as kind of trying to, achieve and fix parallax issues and trying to, make everything work together and match the existing plate that we wanted to use. So there's a lot of that similar reconstruction in Nuke and reprojection of, everything in the set basically needed to be rebuilt, repositioned inside the frame, and the new camera to make that work. That one was one of the most outstanding shots I think that we did on the project. That was just like, wow, after seeing what we needed to, what we had to build the shot, and then the final product was pretty impressive. And a lot of smart vectors as well. That was
great.
Huge, one of my favorite tools, at least in Nuke, to definitely aid us in a lot of extra body match move work as well as projection.
Yeah, those long shots are so lovely and just really get you into the story and tell you a piece of the story in this nice way. I still call them Scorsese shots when I see them. It's just my personal opinion. And then Joe, on to you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's more of like a person that I was really, really proud of. We had this show for Netflix called Lock and Key, and part of the show, the characters, they have these jars that store memories, and they're supposed to be like these kind of like a glowing sort of magical effect. And there was one guy at our studio, Jerry, who just put the whole look together, and he made such a beautiful comp that it's the type of comp that, you open it up and it's like, oh, like it's just pretty to look at, and then not only pretty to look at, but it was like everything was so well organized and really well thought out and structured in such a nice way that when he gave it out to the other artists, it was like a pleasure to work on, and the shots were fine. Like the shots turned out and everybody, but I was really just proud of the amount of work that he put into it, and the way, he really made that effect, and everyone else was just kind of going off of his work. So that was really cool to see. He was more of like I was there when he was hired, and he was more like a junior artist, and to see his progression and for him to do that was really, really cool.
I love to hear. I love that he had input on it, and what he did and what he came up with became the final effect for it. That's something you can definitely be proud of. That's very cool.
For sure.
So, we have a little bit more time, so I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. First thing is, virtual production has come up more and more and more. I'm just wondering if it's gone into your studios or you have clients requesting it, if it's becoming the main trend moving forward, I would say. You know what? Yash, let's start with you.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of requests on that end, but I don't think as a company, Mars is really interested in moving in that direction. Yeah,
fair enough. That's clear and concise. Brendan, how about yourself?
Yeah, we're definitely actively exploring that. We had actually one of our CG soups went with was it? I forget the name of the engine now. Unreal.
Unreal. Oh, Unreal.
Yeah, so they were invited into the Unreal Fellowship, kind of explore some of what are the options. So we have a live action studio that we do a lot of filming elements and so forth. So we're definitely experimenting with that. Some virtual reality, 3D tracking capabilities, just so we can, some of the stuff that we saw in The Mandalorian was just like, wow, some of the behind the scenes, magic that we're doing. So we're definitely actively exploring that and trying to figure out how best we can implement that. We're doing, we're using that for previs as well on Unreal Engine. That's, some of the results. Unreal 5 isn't out yet, so looking forward to getting our hands on that and how we can, best implement that. Because we're already, even some of the stuff that we're doing for previs, like, for background elements, you really can save a lot of time and money, and especially with the episodic content that we have now, it's really how do you get the shots out quickly and efficiently, staying on budget. So some of these tools can be really effective.
Absolutely. How about over at Spin?
Yeah, we're definitely involved. We've already done a few productions using virtual production technology. It's something that's coming. It's coming big, and we have to prepare for it. And it's going to change a lot of things. I mean, a lot of the conversation around virtual production, and we kind of touched upon this earlier, is is it going to threaten our livelihoods or our jobs, and especially when it comes to green screens, because traditionally, especially for compositing, those green screen or blue screen sequences are kind of the bread and butter. There's long sequences, you get a lot of shots like that. But compositors do a lot more than green screens, and in my opinion, as long as we're digitally manipulating images, you'll have a need for compositors. And I think virtual production and those technologies are going to bring their own new set of challenges and things that we're going to have to fix and adjust. Seams along the bottom of the stage, maybe moire patterns and stuff that you're seeing. You run into issues with using proxy renders on those screens, and maybe the resolution's not quite, where you need it to be. So you might find you have to replace some of that footage in post anyway. So there's a number of new challenges that are going to evolve, I think, as a result of this new technology. And, I don't think our jobs are going away anytime soon. And the demand for content is greater than it's ever been, with all the streaming services. And in terms of the timeline, I mean, the big thing that I've noticed in television over the past several years is just the expectations in terms of quality have just skyrocketed. There's just really no room. When I first started working in television, we used to say, this is good enough for TV, and that just doesn't exist anymore. Like we're delivering, feature films on, in a couple of weeks. Every 2 weeks we're delivering a small feature film basically. And the expectation in terms of quality is right on par, if not even more so in some cases. And just in the fact that there's these increasing resolutions, 4K and 6K and 8K, it's a real challenge to deal with that volume of data and to maintain that, that detail and precision in all the work that you do. That's one of the big challenges for us.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine with virtual production, also color cast might be an issue at times. Maybe it's not exactly how it should look, so it will require a lot of compositors' assistance on that. But maybe compositors will be happy about not having to comp in reflections anymore. It might be a nice thing.
Absolutely, I won't miss those blue screen sequences. Sometimes they can be difficult and challenging, and sometimes they don't always look as good as you want them to. So I certainly won't miss that kind of stuff.
For sure. So another, emerging technology, or not even emerging at this point, but something to definitely be aware of and be honed in on for all compositors, whether you're doing it or not. Something to keep a good understanding on, for sure. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that kind of work doesn't filter down. I know productions that Take 5 is doing are using like virtual production, but that doesn't filter down to us in the in-house team. But I am curious, like it is something that I'm looking at, or even not virtual production, but using game engines or just like fast rendering, basically. If I need to put trees in the background of something, could I bring in, something from SpeedTree, throw it into Unreal, track a camera, bring in the FBX, and then get it out that way? That's something that I'm kind of looking at or trying to see if I can incorporate, that into my work. So that's something that I've been looking at. But then on the other hand, honestly, I find Unreal really, I've been playing around with it. I find it tough to work in. I don't find it the most, the nicest program compared to other things that I've used. So what I'm hoping that the other kind of renderers kind of step up and kind of meet the challenge of online render, or, of real-time rendering.
Mm-hmm.
So that, maybe like Redshift, like I know Redshift is working on Redshift RT, like
That's right.
Redshift real time. So, do we have to all learn new software? Do I have to learn Unreal, or could it be that I'm hoping that some of the renderers kind of, really leverage the new video cards and that technology so that we get faster rendering without having to kind of relearn the wheel and not have to kind of, get into Unreal and do all that stuff. But is there a faster renderer that we can use and we can get some of the similar results from it?
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of these, if we were to look into the future, really this is in the hands of the manufacturer of the graphics cards. So we'll find out how that goes along. Okay, and last question before we move on to Q&A, and this is just a light one because of all of who you are. How messy are your compositors' comps? Do you ever have to get really tough with them, or do they usually try and keep it neat? Brendan, let's start with you.
Again, I think that varies from artist to artist. I think generally people try to keep a fairly clean workflow. I really try hard not to shuffle people's comps around, but that's really something that we do talk about in terms of workflow and trying to keep it clean for if we need to shuffle a shot, last minute somebody's sick or out, but. Definitely opened some pretty crazy scripts for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine some of you opening and you're just trying to figure out where do I even start with this one, right? And Joe, how about you? I know you're a very clean compositor.
I'm the worst. I am the worst human alive when it comes to keeping my comps clean. I am the person that you don't like. I feel bad when sometimes you're in the middle of production, like, oh, Joe, we got to take that shot and give it to someone. I'm like, no, wait, let me clean this up a little bit first. Because it's embarrassing when other people open up my shots because they'll look at it and they'll be like, what are you doing? So I try to keep it, maybe when it's rendering, I'll try to tidy things up, but I'm really bad for that. Like you can tell when has Joe been working on the shot when he first got it, and then when has Joe been working on the shot when it's due, because it's sort of like you'll see nice clean stuff at the top, and then as it gets to the bottom, it's a spider web. So I'm the worst alive when it comes to that.
I think it is also have to do a bit with episodic, right? You got to run and gun a bit more. You got to get things done. So you're just. I'm
a horrible person.
How about you, Yash? How's the team over at Mars?
Yeah, so our team generally, they try their best to keep it clean, and definitely it looks cleaner in the beginning, like maybe first few versions of the shot, then starts to become a spider web almost at the version 45 or something. So we try to keep the shots with the same artist, so we don't really have any issues with other artists complaining about the previous script. So so we avoid shuffling shots. So just
I think every composer is relieved to hear that. It's not just them. It's pretty much everyone doing that. How about Eric?
Yeah, sometimes the comp gets away from you and things get a little messy, but for the most part, we've got a great team at Spin, and we put a lot of effort into best practices and training. And so anytime anyone joins the company, we kind of show them exactly how we want things laid out, and for the most part, people are really good at respecting that. And so you can really open up a script from any artist, and the way that the things are laid out is going to be pretty consistent. So it's pretty easy to jump into someone else's work if you have to. But yeah, of course, there's times where, especially when you're doing like look dev and things like that, and you're just being creative, and you're not worried too much about being tidy. And then usually, before we roll that out to the team, we'll go back and clean things up and group things and template things to prevent things from getting out of control. We would spend a lot of time over the past year just really focusing on efficiencies in our workflows.
Like managing bounding boxes, that sort of thing?
Just in everything that we do, we focused a lot in our production processes and our procedures, efficiencies within our comp, trying to be really efficient with how we deal with things like bounding boxes and resolutions, and using proxies when it's smart, and pre-comping sections of the scripts and things like that. Just trying to compartmentalize things so that we can be agile and move quickly. So we spent a lot of time over the past year looking at those types of things. Looking at things, not only things that we need to improve, but we identify things that we do really well, and then how can we build on those things. But yeah, there's always one script that's gonna explode, and you just
bounding boxes and concatenation. Everyone, just make sure you're keeping an eye on those things for sure. But there really is two kinds of say messy compositors. Is you have this really huge wide script where you're scrolling to find pieces, or maybe it's at the look dev portion where everything's really close together, those nodes, as you begin to work things out, and then you got to stretch them out later on. All right, so I think we are, as we run close to the time limit here, let's go ahead and look into the Q&A portion. So let's jump in. Jesse had a question here, which is, how much of your transition work from home or live at work involved carting hardware to homes? Hatch Corporation sent design techs home with full stations and display. So I think it's the hardware challenge. Are studios providing, or are you lucky enough that you have a monster workstation at home and you'd rather use that? So maybe Yash, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So since we are remoting into our machines at the office, at the studio, so we don't really need an expensive machine at all. And so for artists who are working with us before, pre-COVID, for them, we actually, lended them monitors or Wacom tablets, or even, LAN cables, because it's also TPN a request that we cannot use Wi-Fi in order to connect our machines, so we need LAN cables. So we provided those kind of things because nobody had like 30 feet cable,
Right.
something like that, right? So yeah, we ordered them in bulk and we provided those kind of things, basic stuff for people who are working with us. But although Mars grew, we doubled the size during pandemic. So for artists who are working from across the globe, really, like half of our team is all over the place. They're not from Toronto. And for those artists, we are not really providing anything in terms of hardware. So as long as they have even like basic computer, like let's say laptop, but with the good 2 monitors, so they're set because they're remoting into our machine. They're not using their machine to render, or we're not sending any files, or vice versa. So yeah, that helps.
Oh, definitely. And I think, Brendan, you hinted at, Wacom tablets and trying to get some hardware across. But anything else that, needed to be brought over?
No, yeah, really similar to Yash. Yeah, we supplied the monitors, and in some cases even laptops if artists didn't have that to the capability to work. But we're kind of same solution. We're really jobbing into the physical machine at work. So yeah, Wacom tablets, any simple hardware that artists needed was supplied if needed.
I would imagine similar experience for the rest. I'm going to head to Tony's question. I like this question. So how reliant are you guys using comp templates? We'll treat this as 2 things, / live groups to try and keep things consistent? Or is it just not that kind of repeatability because of the type of work? So maybe Eric, we talk about compositors, and you're as they first come in, you show them the way we like to work. But how much of it is driven by templates for different sort of shot situations, or are they laying down nodes as they start each shot?
Yeah, we actually use templates quite a lot. Not necessarily across entire projects, but for specific looks or for specific effects, or maybe it's a character. When we're doing that look dev, I mentioned it earlier, things are messy at first when you're coming up with a look and you're putting things together, but then we try as best we can to template that out, group it out, add controls and things like that. So it's so that we can achieve a similar look across a sequence from a wide range of artists. So yeah, we don't really use live groups though at all. I've found with live groups, although I really want to use them, but I think from a logistics point of view in a large studio, it presents a lot of challenges in terms of how you version those things, how you assign those live group tasks out independently in a shot in terms of how it's tasked out in shotgun and scheduled and things like that. How you tracking the progression of the live groups independently from the main script. So there's a lot of little nuances and things like that on the logistics side that make, at least for us, live groups a challenge to integrate into our pipeline. But certainly templates is something that we do quite a lot.
Makes sense. And Joe, how about you?
Yeah, almost the same thing. If there's a look that has been established, templates for sure, that an artist will kind of develop a master look for things, and then that'll go out to the other artists. So yeah, in live groups, I don't think we've ever used live groups. Templates are just they seem to be faster. There's not very much setup for it. And then other but it's only for shots where there would be a specific look that's been established for an element or something that has to be passed on to everybody.
So it's not something like a library where, in the sense of, okay, I'm keying, so let's pull out this
No,
template.
no.
Okay, gotcha.
No, nothing, not like that.
And how about Brandon?
Yeah, very similar. I use a lot of templates. Like if it's a specific sequence, like it too, for example, we had a very specific lighting setup for a lot of the shots that were very similar. So just to keep everything, because we need, a lot of shots from shot to shot were really the same environment. So we try to keep it not strict by any means, but just keeping everybody kind of on the same page, and just the way that things were driven and how we're controlling light groups and those kind of scenarios, which came out of lighting with a template for the artist that is really the bare bones of kind of how to assemble the shot. So that's really helpful in those situations.
And over at Mars, is templates the king? Everyone starts with a template, or sort of the same?
So we at least try to use a basic template for everything, and the reason is just to avoid messy script, right? Even if they're creatively, if the shots are creatively different, at least the basic structure of the script is similar. It's easy for everybody to navigate it. So we are interested in training artists, and we encourage artists to use templates. Yeah,
that's good to hear. So Tony, sounds like there is sort of mixed on there, but definitely if there's a specific look, it's template driven. But as the general, it's not always the case. So one quick question, we do have to wrap up soon, so I'll just ask one person here. So Tony's asking, as for at-home productivity, have you found ways to get teams to retain that speed of working that they had when they're working together in person? Eric, I'll ask you.
I think actually our productivity has increased. We were worried at the beginning of this that we'd suffer, but I think the fact that you're home and that you can still conduct your day-to-day, and get work done, and you can work at different times of the day. I love the fact that if the shot's coming in late at night, I don't have to be at the studio late waiting for a shot to come in. I can carry about my business during the day, and then I can log in and check that shot later in the evening. There's a lot of conveniences like that. And I think that's true for a lot of our artists. So, and another big thing is, we're not commuting to work. I mean, that's a huge thing for myself. I'm an hour, sometimes, an hour and a half, depending on traffic, away from the office. So, that's like 15 hours a week that I'm not commuting anymore, that I'm now productive because I can be working during that time. So, and I think, things like that, people can do the laundry during the day, or they can, and still get work done. So I think, in terms of that quality of life and work-life balance, for a lot of people, they really, really enjoy working from home.
That's and judging by all the shaking heads, I think everyone agrees with you on that. But that's a great point, and I think the work home life balance has definitely improved because of that, especially with that commute that so many people have to endure. So I'm going to go ahead and thank absolutely everybody. You guys have been awesome, and really some fantastic information being shared here. So let me just share my screen one more time as we wrap this up here. So big thanks to all you guys. Thank you so much. I know you guys are super busy, rolling in the middle of production constantly and taking the time out to spend here at Spark. And thank you from Foundry. So thank you everybody for tuning in and attending today's session. If you do want to learn more about Nuke, Foundry has an upcoming webinar empowering artists with the Nuke 13, which is right around the corner, and that's on March 16th. We're also hosting a webinar to launch color management, a color management training series by Victor Perez, and also from Netflix, and that is on March 31st. So keep connected with Foundry. You can visit our event page at foundry.com/events for more information. So some exciting things coming up. So again, I'll we'll never say this too much. Thank you guys for joining in and sharing your information, your experience. We just have such a load of experience between all of you and coming in it from different angles. So it's been a great panel. So thank you everybody for watching, and thank you to our panelists.